it. No!
God, why is Renara so heavy?
Please be careful. You're tilting it too far.
Come on, Zamoody. You don't have to tell me what to do. It's me for God's...
Oh, too far!
Whoops. Almost dropped her.
Watch it there.
By the gods, do you always micromanage this much?
Do I have to use my magic to move it?
Enough with the orders, weirdo. You're hurting my feelings.
This is quite the fortress you have here.
Renara will be safe here. These walls have and will never be breached.
Are you sure? I saw the scars on the front gate as we entered. Grim, are you okay?
I am fine.
You're a bad liar. You know that, right?
We are allies of moment, but you do not know me.
Really? 'Cause I feel like I know you guys quite well from what Renara's told me. Renara will always do what she can for anyone she meets, but she overthinks things, stretches herself too thin. Zamoody stands tall, always having some wisdom to share and some knowledge to guide ColdRead forward. But the weight of this nation weighs heavy on him, and I don't think he's quite managed to find a way to share it yet. Eldurrino's got fire, I'll give him that. Hell, I don't think I've ever been challenged that much when first meeting someone before. He's goal-oriented, focused, driven, but there's a darkness there. Ren told me as much. But after meeting him, I can see it in his eyes. And you, Grim Reaper, you are way too hard on yourself. You and Ren are quite similar in that way. You both do what needs to be done for others, but you always worry whether you will be good enough to do what needs to be done. When all of those around see you are that, and more.
She's taught you well. Renara speaks about us far too much, I feel.
So then, Mr. Grumpy Pants, what's got you brooding up here like some sort of golden statue? Your hair will turn white if you get any more serious.
You're not going to give this up, are you?
No.
What would you know of wars spanning millennia? Of hatreds from the dawn of time? Of severed friendships that cracked the very fabric of reality?
Whoa! I'm 14,000 years old and this is deep much? Sorry. Continue.
As I said, this fortress has never been breached, though it has been tested many times. This fortress I built to withstand time itself. To do that, the fortress must already be dead.
Do you speak in riddles all the time, or is this just for my benefit? I mean, Renara did say you kind of waffle a bit.
Well, you can tell her I learned from the best. But have you ever wondered, in your short time of being here, why the walls are so white?
Yeah, I was wondering, considering night, black, and moody was more your guys' thing.
And do you hear that? On the wind.
Well, I do hear something, but I was always told not to hold anything in. Emotions, gas, opinions.
You really have an answer for everything. I can see why Renara chose you.
Thank you.
These walls are imbued with the bodies and souls of thousands. They are my people. Those who wandered the groves, lost, alone, no purpose in death. They gave their bones to build these walls, their souls to keep it standing here forever. A fortress like no other. An army could not topple it, for the stone itself fights back. Spies could not scale it, for they would see nothing before the souls would drag them with clawing hands down to add them to the battlements.
Oh, gods. I think I'm gonna be sick.
This wall is my finest achievement, my greatest accomplishment, my memento mori. And yet, it won't be enough.
That's you being hard on yourself again.
No, Misty. Time is not just against us. Time is our enemy.
I still don't get what you're saying, dude.
No. Listen to me. It won't be enough.
Oh.
I know him. It's all in his name. Time flies to his whims. My walls will crumble under the weight of eons in a matter of moments. Souls will wither. Soldiers will turn to dust where they stand. Too far gone for my magic to bring them back. To hell with his new lackeys. I've killed so many of his minions before, I've lost count. But time always catches up with me, no matter where I go, no matter when I go. He's always there, gnawing at my soul with every tick of the clock. He will not stop until he's once and for all proved that he is the best, able to do more than just cheat death, but defeat it. Tempest, my old friend. How did it get to this?
He was your friend?
Gods below, when did you guys get here?
Since you started monologuing. I would have told you, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Hasn't stopped you before.
I feel you could have told us this, I don't know, before we almost walked right to his front door.
And if we knew you knew this guy, maybe we could have stopped him from hurting Renara!
Think about it, guys. Grim would have said something sooner if he knew it would help.
This is not how things were meant to go. If Tempest ever found me here, I'd planned to have Renara's life magic reinforce my dead walls, stopping time from beating them down. Zamoody, I would have had you cast vast protective wards by now, and hurled damnation from the battlements. Eldurrino, we would have had dozens of war machines built to rain hellfire down upon them. And yet, here we are, with nothing but my walls to keep them at bay, against time itself.
Now, Grim, my immortally brooding black cloud of thunder, you're missing something rather important. Let me make an assumption here. Every time you fought him before, beyond your souls you were alone, right?
Yes, why?
And if I'm not mistaken, the battle for Coldread was also pretty intense. But you got through it, did you not?
We got through it, but I guess.
Quite intense.
Are you seeing what I'm getting at here?
No.
Are you guys as dense as you seem? You have each other!
I don't see how that's meant to.
Of course you wouldn't, because you're all so goddamned independent and don't need no river spirit to keep you all glued together.
Wait, what?
A subject for another time. What I'm trying to say is that you're not alone anymore. Renara believes in you guys, and I do too. I know you can do this. Sure, we don't have nearly as much time as Grim would have liked, but I know we can figure something out. Together. And I'll be here to provide witty banter along the way.
Oh, come on, that's my job.
Well, you got company now.
You got company now. Princess Pashley never would have settled for this shit.
I think you're right. Renara wouldn't want us to give up. I'll have a new plan soon. And I'll need all of your help. But I promise you, the walls will hold.
I kind of feel like I want to let the music go for a bit, because that is very, very nice. What a wonderful little intro and segment into the third season of the epic Coldread saga. Thank you. Thank you, Renara.
No worries.
Awesome job. It's very good.
Thought I would go a bit chiller. Well, chiller, but kind of, I don't know. We're at a point in the story that it's very, we don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
You guys are we're on the back foot now at the minute, so have to see how things go.
I love how this is all playing out just all in your head, and you're just able to put it out and give it to us.
I literally write it in like 2 days. I have Grim next to me helping me with like bits and pieces about his character, but other than that, it's just I have an idea, I just go with it and see how it goes. Develop from there.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's an awesome talent that you have, and I'm glad that you're able to flex it. So welcome everybody. Welcome to Cold Read the Podcast. Whether you're here live watching us on Twitch, because it's Sunday noon, this is how we always do it. Twitch.tv/Zamoody. Or if you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us anywhere where you get your podcasts, welcome to Cold Read the Podcast. I feel like I need to be really nice calm because of the music.
know, right?
It's not really like the normal coming in. Real quick
This is
before
your season 3 ASMR.
It's very zen.
Absolutely.
Starting a meditation channel, guys. Yeah.
Hey, those are pretty big too. I mean, that's okay.
Cold Read meditation channel, right? Branding. We're looking to expand now, aren't we?
Yeah, there we go. If before we get started on everything else, I just want to remind everybody, if you have any ideas for the show, anything that you want us to talk about, feel free to email us, coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com. Again, coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com. If you have an audition or a piece of audio that you want us to listen to, that is your original audio, we'd be more than happy to give you constructive criticism. If we have a little time at the end, we have a couple of people that are asking for help more on different media, so we'll go ahead and jump into that. But before we get there, let's talk to everybody and see how their week has been. So, Renara, how has this last week been for you?
Slow, but I mean, it was okay. I think at the minute I'm trying to slot all of these new things into place and let things settle at the minute. There's a lot of things that are kind of like everything's been whooshed, and I'm trying to slot the pieces like Tetris back into where I need them to be. Everything always has to happen on Sunday. Sundays are becoming less and less relaxing. My computer had a massive freaking meltdown, like about a couple of hours before stream. So I had a massive panic attack. My computer is, I don't know, well, we had a discussion on possibly what might be wrong with it. So I'm hoping I can get this sorted eventually, but we'll have to see if my bank can support it. So
Gotcha.
other than that, auditions have been non-existent this week because I've been working on the intro, so I've been putting all my energy into doing that. And we're just going to have to see how things go, because at the minute with my computer, I have no idea if I can do any more of my rendering videos for YouTube at the minute until it's fixed. So we'll have to just see how that goes. Again, everything's up in the air and I just need to figure out what's going on where.
Right.
Oh.
Tough times.
You'll get there.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah,
It's
keep at
fine.
it.
Oh, we'll be fine.
You got this. Don't worry about it. Well, all in all, glad to hear that you. Yeah. Chill, relax. We'll bring the music back on.
It's free. It is a free piece of music. So.
Yeah.
Play it as many times as you want.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here, Renara. I'm glad that you made it. Misty, how about your side? How are you doing today?
I have had some problems with my mic this week. Apart from having no time to record again, work is not settled down back to what it used to be before the holidays. So it's just a little hectic, but also my mic, for some reason, it might be a cable issue, might be a connection issue, but there's like sometimes it's weird because it doesn't happen every time. There's like crackles and like pops and stuff that come in through the audio, and it drives me crazy. But yeah, it doesn't happen every single time, so it's not a consistent issue that I can say I know how to fix this. It's like so I don't know.
You need the help of a professional computer support specialist who also specializes in visual and audio issues.
Wrong way around. Wrong way that way. I keep getting it flipped on Twitch.
Yeah, it gets a little different. But yeah, I reach out to Eldurrino. Depends on how it connects. There are certain filters that might help with that. I might actually have one handy. You guys keep going for a second.
Yeah, I'll like send you an audio sample of what it sounds like when it's not working, when it's sounding like that. Oh.
These are one of the audio filters that come in that minimize those pops and everything. So we'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, it's just random. Every now and then it happens when I'm recording. Thankfully, the day that I recorded the intro, it miraculously, I managed to get a clean recording out. So I was like, oh, thank God. But apart from that day, it has been a mess.
Gotcha.
But I have been cast in other roles, not paid. They're just, like for fun projects. And that's fun. And someone reached out to me today on Casting Call Club or something else. So that's cool. Cool that someone's noticing my work.
Yeah. So no, you didn't actually audition for this one. Somebody's like, "Hey, I got this project. Would you be interested in helping out?"
Yeah, they just, I don't know how they found me. They just messaged me.
Nice.
And it's like, I have this project and I was thinking you could play this role. We could talk about it on Discord maybe. And it's like, oh, cool.
Yay.
Nice.
Very
That's
cool.
good.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here so much. Dorino, how are you? I see that you're coming in from the blanket fort of your booth.
Damn it! I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was waiting until I got to talk. God damn it! All right.
I'm good at what I do. It's that.
So yeah, I'm coming to you live from my blanket fort this week. Fort. Because I've been trying to do as many auditions this week as I possibly can because I am trying really hard to start treating this more like a business. There goes my dog. I'm just really trying to set aside time to seek out auditions, get them done, get them sent in as soon as I can, et cetera, et cetera. So, but I'll get to that here in a little bit. So this week overall actually has been kind of shitty. Many different issues. My girlfriend falling on the ice twice and bruising herself. We bought a TV last Sunday after the podcast that we hooked up. It worked once and then didn't turn on after that. So we had to go bring it back, which luckily they were nice enough and they were like, we can just put it on a gift card and then you can go buy another one. I was like, perfect. So we did, got a better one. It was all good. Work has just been annoying, stupid stuff. I won't get into it, but yeah, overall just been pretty stressful. But was it yesterday? I think yesterday. Aside from the other auditions that I've been doing, which I never see anybody like use the upvote feature on Casting Call Club. And then all of a sudden I did like 2 auditions, one for Trunks from DBZ in this one project, and then like Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's in another one. Both of them just started getting a bunch of upvotes out of nowhere, and I don't know why.
Nice.
So I never get any feedback on anything. So
I think they've rejigged a lot of it.
They have.
I think so too. I think that I don't know. People must get alerts like saying, "Hey, there's a new submission" or something. But in any case, it was good. It was very confidence boosting to see that. And then even more so, Saturday morning I wake up and this guy emailed me about a game that I auditioned for a year ago, approximately. And he was like, "Hey, it's been almost a year since we last spoke. There's a new round of auditions that we're putting out. This one has a ton more roles, and a lot of them suit your voice and your energy. So we would love to have you audition."
Nice.
I was like, that's awesome. Like, especially a year ago, somebody actually is reaching back to me, even though like the first one didn't work out, but they're reaching out because they saved my contact. Like that was super awesome. Like it just totally made my day.
Do you remember doing the original one? I have to ask.
Yes. Yeah. It was very, very generic, like soldier lines, like, you bust through the
Get
door
over
and you're
here.
like, go, So, just generic stuff like that. I think they were just looking for like filler for the trailer that they wanted to put out. So anyways, so they sent that and I've been doing those today. I've been doing those auditions, which have been a lot of fun. Lots of different characters to mess around with. So, I'll send that in probably tonight.
Cool.
Otherwise, I went to a place yesterday that was like 1920s themed, and they had like live jazz music and everything. It was just like a cocktail bar.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was super cool. Very, very enjoyable. It was just really awesome to see some like live music for the first time in however friggin' long.
People play live. It's a thing.
I know.
Stuck in the Twilight Zone.
Magmorta and Chess like flappers?
Sort of. Yeah. Like they even had like, the bead necklaces and like done up hair and the like sequential dresses and shit like that. It was super cool. They didn't necessarily like stay in character and use that kind of like transatlantic accent, like, "Hey there, darling, what can I get for you?" But either way, I mean, it was still a really cool experience. I just really liked seeing the jazz music. So
cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, at least you ended it in a fun way, so glad to hear that.
Very true. I also have been able to scream my head off for the last like 3 days, so it's been very cathartic.
Oh, because you're in a place by yourself now and you don't have anybody else?
No, as in like this week has been shit, and so
Oh.
sometimes I just need to scream.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, at least you got Fort Eldurrino to do it in, right?
Exactly. Well, yeah, we'll call it Fort Eldurrino. I was gonna call it Fart Eldurrino, but
No, we hold those in.
not here. Not in my castle.
God damn it.
So for me, I've been on vacation for the last week. I intended to do a lot of voice acting stuff. Started having trouble with my throat. I think I mentioned it in the last show. I ended up having strep throat. So I've taken some time because I'm not allowed to yell. I'm not allowed to sing. I'm not allowed to even kiss my wife at this point. So it's one of those situations where I got to wait until next Thursday and then I can start jumping in and doing stuff. Outside of that, I did one quick work for J-Show Clips because work does continue. Thankfully, I don't have to yell for that, but I did find out that I'm not the only voice for that channel anymore. So they're expanding a bit and they brought in somebody else. Sad to see the work isn't going to be so constant, but understandably so. Sometimes you need to bring variety to grow the channel. So they're at 15,000 strong and moving forward, and I can understand that. I mean, yeah, I mean, considering they started from nothing, it's good on them. So if you have a chance, look them up on TikTok, jshowclips.com. Let them know that you like my voice more than the other one, and we'll go forward from there. Thank you so much. So this week is an interesting topic because I reached out to a creator and I wanted to talk to them about a video that they put up. So I've got that pretty much ready to go. But Dorina, do you want to talk about your things too? Because I know mine is going to go into it. So we should probably describe what NFTs are.
Right. Okay. So, if any of our listeners follow a voice actor by the name of Troy Baker on Twitter, he recently talked about creating his own NFT, which stands for non-fungible token. In layman's terms, it's basically like a digital baseball card, essentially. Some are, just kind of bleh, but other ones are very rare, one of a kind. And there has already been a lot of these NFTs going around and being... No, I did not say turds.
Oh, okay.
That's what it sounded like.
Okay, so I'm not the only one.
What
I heard it too.
What did I say? You said remind me.
In layman's turds, that's what I heard.
That's what it sounded like. We all heard it.
Constantly shitting all over the place. Anyways, so essentially they have been using NFTs and creating like digital art and then selling it as if they were selling a painting. Not many, but a number of them have already gone for like incredible amounts of money, talking millions of dollars worth of other cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and stuff like that. So the main argument around NFTs in general is because it is digital, it can be stolen. And it is 100% true. Like, people have already proven you can grab it it's essentially yours. You're making a copy of it, of course, because all NFTs are logged in a sense where the original owner, or the original creator rather, will be notated on the piece. It's kind of like, think of it like making a watermark on your piece of art, right? You leave your signature on a painting. There's something that ties you to that piece so that you can prove, hey, this is mine. In any case,
I mean, also, it's kind of like a limited edition thing, right? It's like one of 200 or something to that effect, depending on...
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can certainly be used as that, as opposed to just one of a kind to, being part of a series or, a limited stock kind of thing. But in any case, so you could essentially copy said thing, like said NFT, said piece of art, and manipulate it in ways so that it looks like you are now the owner of it, as opposed to someone else who actually paid money for it and possibly millions of dollars for it. it's a very strange thing, and he has been getting a lot of backlash behind it because a lot of people, similarly to when cryptocurrency started gaining traction, they think it's like a bubble or a fad. They think it's just something that a few people or a few thousand people will get into, but it'll never see any type of success. So yeah, that's basically kind of the backstory behind it and why it's now coming up on this podcast.
Well, it's stupid because it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's the weirdest. You know where I was? I was on Tuesday. We went to Dave & Buster's only because it was my son's birthday. They have NFTs there for you to buy. It's on their board that have Dave & Buster's NFTs.
Oh.
So this thing is popping up everywhere. And
Yeah,
even,
everyone wants to get into it.
right.
I'm finding it hard. Like, I don't know about anyone else, but I find the whole idea of it it makes my head spin. I don't think I can fully understand it, really.
That's why I tried to put it in layman's terms.
But even then, it still didn't go in, and I'm just the only thing I can imagine is Bitcoin. I think that because that was like the first one, if that makes sense.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So if you think about any type of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, et cetera, those are all digital forms of money.
Yeah.
This is digital forms of art. You know,
right.
Like,
okay.
there can technically, video games are a digital form of art. Videos are a digital form of art. Like, these are essentially things that are tied to a little tag that you put on said digital piece, and then you can then sell it. That makes sense.
And the thing with this is,
I was going to say, Misty, you said you gave a good analogy earlier. What was that?
I saw someone else talk about it, and they mentioned that it's also essentially you're buying a receipt. Just the receipt, just stating that you own this thing, so that it's art that can be copied, downloaded anywhere. You just paid millions of dollars for a thing that says I own this, and that's, for some people, I guess that's worth it. For some, it's like, well, why do you need to pay for something that's just freely accessible? Some people sell tweets, some people sell video clips, art that has been stolen from other people has been sold as NFTs. It's very, very messy. And people are just sort of throwing money at things just because it's new and it's a fad. And the main problem with this is that since it's on a blockchain, a crypto blockchain, like the same blockchain used to create cryptocurrency, that's why it's bad for the environment. And what's used to create these NFTs in that form is also the same energy used to create cryptocurrency. So that's why it's like the main concern with it.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So I know this is a lot of.
There's Matt. No, Matt just said, I invested in a TF2 hat. Nice.
I would buy that NFT. Not really.
I have just got this image of that meme with the guy in the red tape, and he looks like he's trying to. I tried to explain the plot of blah. It feels like that currently.
Well, and funny enough, the value of NFTs can actually be also driven by who's owned them, because the record of who owns them keep it. If for example, I don't know, XQC bought an NFT and then decided to sell it, now it's more valuable because XQC owned it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
so weirdly enough, like if, for example, if a baseball, like not a baseball player, an athlete sold a pair of shoes that you could probably buy at a store for a much reasonable price, but because he or she wore those shoes, they've gone up in price.
Yep.
So it's like that. Okay.
Or you
and
can
then,
even compare it to like something that's been signed, like
okay.
A poster that. Or I'm sorry, not even a poster. We'll say a greeting card. Something that you just bought from the store for $2. You have your friend sign it, value increases maybe a little bit, but then your friend knows Michael Jordan, gets Michael Jordan to sign it. All of a sudden, the thing's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The same thing
passed down the
essentially
chain.
applies.
So it keeps getting passed down the chain, and then its value increases the further it goes down.
Yep.
Depending on who you give it to.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's more based on like who, like one particular person or multiple people that are well known own it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, how does this relate to voice acting? Well, it's media in itself. It's not specifically just a digital piece of art. It's digital media that is presented as an art form and may have a voice actor behind it doing some things. Dead by Daylight recently got into a ton of trouble because the person that they licensed the Cenobite, which is Pinhead, started doing NFTs using the models that Dead by Daylight put out, and it caused this giant uproar in the community because I think we all kind of are iffy on the whole NFT thing. So
Yeah.
Well, and understandably so. Like, it's I know this is what this video is talking about here that we're going to be listening to shortly, but it's scary because there is, I don't want to say easily accessible, but there is accessible forms of AI development. And what scares a lot of people in the voice acting community is the fact that someone can take your work, feed it through this development program, and all of a sudden they can replicate your voice.
Nope.
And they don't need you anymore.
Yep.
No, I'm good. Renara has left the chat. Nope, I'm good.
And I did go down the rabbit hole of the specific company or the specific thing that Troy Baker associated with. Like a few days ago, I went through a whole Twitter thread. There's a whole thing going on with that. But after we watch the video, I could maybe talk a bit about what happened there because it's
Let's see.
crazy.
okay, so without further ado, let's talk about this particular video. Let me see if how this is going to work. And it didn't do what I wanted it to do. So, so those of you that are in should be.
I'm seeing Jurassic Park.
Yeah, you're going to see
what
the
I'm seeing.
Jurassic Park thing, but I'm trying to put it so people can see it on
What
this
we're actually
stream.
doing is proving a point that we have stolen a copy of Jurassic Park and are now streaming. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't ban us. Twitch
No,
or
no,
YouTube.
no. It's a meme. It's a meme.
It's a joke. This was
It's
all
a
for
joke.
comedy.
Keep vamping for a second, please. I'm going to have to try this a different way.
Technical
Peas and carrots.
difficulties.
Peas and carrots.
Oh my God, you guys
Peas
are
and
all
carrots.
terrible.
Peas and carrots. Peas and carrots.
There it is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've got it up. Okay, so we're going to watch this video in entirety. It's about 13 minutes long. This is courtesy of Natural RP Voiceover. And thank you again for giving us the opportunity to play this live so everybody can listen. So everybody's joined in Discord so you all can hear it?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
5 years later.
The war against the machines.
The rise of the AI voice has been the go-to anxiety topic for the voiceover industry for the last couple of years. The one before this was arguably the acceptance of home studios, where more readily available and affordable technology, better remote connections, and also more online casting portals allowing people to go directly to their clients had meant that there was a greater acceptance of that as a valid way of doing voiceover work. So before we get into the whole AI thing, it's really important that we set out what exactly that we're talking about, and specifically that there's a distinction between the two main types of AI voice that are out there. There's text-to-speech and there's also speech-to-speech. Text-to-speech is what we most readily accept AI voices to be, so that you're literally inputting text and as a result a synthetic voice is turning that into spoken speech. But there's also speech-to-speech, where there is actually a live performance that is giving the vocal inflections, but then a digital mask of another voice is being placed over the top of it. And we also need to remember that, like most developing technologies, AI voice stands on a moral spectrum. There are better examples of it and worse examples of it. On the one side, some of this technology is literally giving voice to the voiceless, as demonstrated by Vocal ID's work in the area. And then on the opposite side, you have the model that we as voice actors might be more familiar with, which is something like a product like Speechello, which advertises itself overtly as a solution to those really expensive and costly and unnecessary voice actors. So I'd say the key questions about AI voices are: how good are they? Will they replace voice actors? What voiceover genres will it affect? And how can voice actors best prepare for it? Now, every few months, there seems to be another development in the mainstream media which provokes another spasm of anxiety for voiceover actors. 18 months ago, it was probably the release of a trailer of a AI voice that could cry called Faith by the developer Sonantic. Most recently, there was a controversy sparked by Troy Baker, the voice actor. Now, Baker is essentially as close to voice actor royalty royalty as you can get. He's starred in a whole variety of different franchises, some of the biggest franchises in video games, and it's been a running joke within the industry that he's in pretty much every game. He tweeted about partnering with an AI voice company to allow everyone the chance to own and invest in the IPs that they create. Now, part of the controversy was that it was a combination of AI voice and also NFTs, which is a whole other subject unto itself that I don't really want to focus on in this video. But what I do want to focus on in this video is that it shows that many voice actors out there already are exploring the different options of monetizing an AI version of their voice. When discussing his thinking and also the subsequent backlash on the podcast Play, Watch, Listen, Baker explained a bit more thoroughly about what his rationale was.
You never fire like the middle management. You fire the most expensive. That's where the change happens. Producers, by and large, are looking for is like, how can we get away from hiring someone like Troy Baker, who's really expensive, versus that guy doesn't cost that much. He's a negligible amount, or she's not going to be as expensive. So what I'm saying is if they're trying to bring anybody's cost down, it's not that person, it's me. My job is to not be better than anything. My job is to be the solution to the problem.
Now, I'd really recommend that podcast, and I would also say that Alana Pierce, the video game writer, and Mike Bithell, the video game developer, made very good counterpoints in terms of obviously the very explicit risk that AI voices might have, especially for new voiceover talents coming into the industry who aren't as established as Baker. But what possibly interested me most about Baker's explanations towards his thinking was that it wasn't just about being as good as he could possibly be as an actor, but it was also about his focus about addressing the pain points of the clients that are out there as well. And that obviously rings true to a lot of the marketing that I do, where the marketing that I recommend, where it's not all about you and what you can do, but it's addressing the markets and your potential clients' pain points first and foremost.
But I'm meeting about this literally last week with a studio who was like, we don't want to use the robo voice, but it's not a good use of our time to have people in-house record all the dialogue. What are our options? So I get that, and I also understand like smaller voice actors' concerns with it too. I imagine that similar for the composing community, like I would guess people are split on it. Some people like it and some people don't.
So, given all of this, what should voice actors do? Should we just give up? Should we pretend it isn't existing or happening at all? Just live entirely in denial? Or maybe we should just sell out as soon as possible? Well, we still can't be sure what exact genres of voiceover are going to be most affected, but we can take an educated guess. IVR, phone messaging, and some e-learning are probably going to be the most obvious candidates, because if an AI program can change the language of an entire course rapidly, then that can obviously have some added value. There's also an argument for some commercial content to be very specifically catered towards AI programs. Maybe you receive an advert which addresses you by name, addresses the location where you are, and also addresses what it is that you're playing or watching. That hyper-personalized commercial experience, which some marketers are definitely going to want to engage with, is only really going to be feasible using an AI voice, rather than having a human talent recording potentially millions of different variations. In games, AI voices are being used as a placeholder and in the development process, and there are actual AI voice programs which are being built into and trialed in platforms such as Unity, which is specifically to aid the game development process, because it makes more financial sense sometimes as a placeholder than it would be to hire live talent for work-in-progress work. Also, a wide availability of decent AI voices, generally speaking, would obviously invite greater use of voices in indie games, whereas before they would simply be priced out entirely. And we can see how some of the online casting sites are already catering to this, where you have Voice123 and Voices.com trialing AI voices, and freelancing websites such as Fiverr looking at teaming up with AI providers such as Lovo, so that people can first of all order samples of existing human voiceovers, but then that leading probably almost essentially to them also having an AI voice offering as well. There is also the wider question of diversity that needs to certainly be borne in mind, which is that if a whole area is suddenly flooded by AI voice versions of reputable video game voice actors that people are going to be using instead of early voice actors, then it means that there's going to be a narrower pool of actual talent there as a result, and some of the newer and more diverse talent that is coming into voice acting might be stifled in their development. But But still, and I'm sorry, this is a cop-out, it is still too soon to know for sure exactly how this will impact. All we know that there is a greater tolerance now that we're using Alexa, we're using Siri, we're using TTS in the social media that we imbibe every day. There is a greater tolerance. It is going to be part of our lives in some form to come. That's as much as we know, and we can't ignore it. So, what can we as voice actors do? Well, I suggest 5 things. The first thing I'd recommend is that we focus on being voice actors. And this may seem obvious, but it still bears repeating. The one thing that AI voices really struggle with is spontaneous, realistic emotion. And even if you do teach an AI voice to cry with specific inputs, then if you give them those same specific inputs, they will cry in exactly the same way. There's not going to be that level of spontaneity. Whereas an actor who lives in the moment has a seemingly limitless way of being able to channel those kind of things. Also, you need to value yourself artistically as a collaborator as well as just a gun for hire. So the fact that as a voice actor that you can understand the rules of copy and how to interpret text and give feedback on that, or similarly with character relationships, the background of characters and the decision-making process behind that is all added value that you can readily market and sell to potential collaborators, which AI voices simply won't have. My second point would be to be as educated as possible about the subject. So I would say podcasts like the VO Social podcast about AI voices is great. Angang Guza's VO Boss podcasts, she's created a whole series of interviews with different AI voice providers about their approaches, their ethical standpoint, all of that kind of thing. I would say Hugh Edwards at Gravy for the Brain has worked a lot with TTS stuff as well and spoken to a number of developers. And I'd say podcasts like Play, Watch, Listen, where you're actually seeing game developers, game writers, composers, and voice actors all discussing this kind of thing so that it's not isolated but as part of a whole conversation in itself, are really invaluable. The third thing to do is be open to potential opportunities where AI voice could actually augment your own workflow. Yes, you could have an AI avatar that actually you market yourself or have someone market for you for a lower stream of paid work, but there's also the potential to maybe use AI voice to just do pickups in your workflow so that an algorithm can auto-replace those 12 errors for you instead of you having to go back in and do those pickups. Again, it's just kind of being open to all of the different offerings that are out there so that you can then see what might serve you best. Do you want an AI avatar? Do you want it to be on a separate platform? Do you want someone to market for you? Again, by familiarizing yourself with what other people are offering, you can start making some informed decisions. The fourth point, going hand in hand with that, is to value your voice usage rights. And I'll always be banging on about knowing what usage is as a voice actor anyway, but it's essentially making sure that you steer clear of anything which asks for a potential complete buyout. A lot of voice actors will have seen a text-to-speech programs where you'll have to record anything from half an hour to 3 hours to 10 hours of seemingly nonsensical sentences from which they'll create a text-to-speech program, and then they'll offer a complete buyout fee of anywhere from between $2,500 to $3,000 up to $10,000 to $20,000 pounds or dollars. And all of this kind of stuff is really, really, really iffy because they're essentially offering a buyout on that, and therefore you don't have any say on where that voice may end up. And obviously we've got a recent example of Bev Standing, a voice actor whose voice was used on TikTok without her permission. Those usage rights are really going to be crucial because if you sign them away too early and very, very, very cheaply, that's going to be the slippery slope. And finally, the fifth thing is really to return to a theme of mine, which is the crucial aspect of forging direct relationships with your clients rather than being beholden to freelancing sites or pay-to-plays or anything else like this. Your value proposition as a voice actor is going to be more and more this human connection and all of the additional benefits that you can add, and if there are other things that can get in the way of that, then that's going to diminish your ability to maintain a career in this area. The sooner that you're independent and very clear about what value that you're adding to every single project that you lend yourself with, the more that you're going to make yourself independent and more self-sustaining as a business. To conclude, I'd encourage us to look back at what I was talking about with the advent of home studios beforehand. Those talents that really thrived were those people who weren't afraid of new technology, who were appreciative of the fact that their customers' workflows were changing and therefore their skill sets needed to change in order to cater to those new needs. They embraced new technology and saw that how that could be able to enhance their client offering. It's something that we need to be aware of and something that we need to bear in mind of in a customer-centric way as much as possible. I don't believe that AI voices are going to spell the end of voice actors and their careers, especially when we live in a world where the emotional connection and authenticity is a key factor in everything that we do, whether that's particularly artistic projects or voice acting, whether it's e-learning, whether or not it's commercial or narration, all of these things, the emotional connection is always going to be absolutely key. But still, we have to be aware of what is developing around us. I hope you found this video of some interest, and if you have, please do like, subscribe, and spread the word, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of that one. A lot to unpack there. There's a lot of comments in chat too. First off, I wanted us to be educated with NFTs because I know it was going to get brought up, and I'm sure we'll expand on it here in the future. But for the most part, what are the general comments that we have on the video? Anybody want to start off?
Well, I find it the comment that Troy made, the way I interpreted it as, there's already a big section of people that believe that the video game industry itself relies on a specific pool of actors mostly, and they, for the most part, it's those people that are turned to first. And the comment that he made, where he was like, I'm behind this because it for the people that say, oh, it's too expensive to hire me, he's basically giving everyone the ability to like hire him for like cheap, and it's like, oh, you're making more of a monopoly of yourself then. That's like how I interpret it as. It's like, yeah, it's taking away opportunities for other people to potentially get into that field, because now everyone, according to him, everyone can just have Troy Baker in their game or in their project or whatever. And the thing that he was backing, they even made a tweet that's just suggestions. Like, imagine if you could just have the voice of a specific character from a game like belonging to you, and you can use it anywhere for whatever purpose. It's like, well, I mean, you're not. It's interesting because the technology. I use Adobe a lot when it comes to all of my recording. Adobe Auditions takes out the pops, takes off a lot of the stuff in the actual recording itself, and I could see it evolving into starting to use my voice as a sample and even being able to do my own pickups, and that's going to be kind of crazy when we get to that point. That's a great tool for us. But it's a possibility that we do have to cross this path. And I know Matt's talking about Uncanny Valley, which by the way is a very interesting concept, but I'll bring that up at another time. That it would come into play when it comes to AI. I've heard some AIs that are so good that I question whether or not it's an AI or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when they were going through the list of what can be affected, I could see commercial things being affected. I could see that. I could also see e-learning.
100%
very
e-learning.
much so. I could see that being affected. And when it came to games, I was worried for a minute, but then I really can understand the whole using one as a placeholder, because it just helps to streamline that process of getting past like certain areas and allowing you to move on and develop the game quicker. Also, it gives voice actors, when they want to hire the people on, a base to be able to realize, right, this is the kind of thing they're going for, and it helps to give that structure. And for me, I love having structure, and I love having bits and pieces to take from, and I can see how that could be beneficial to us as voice actors coming onto projects and being able to do more, if that makes sense, to streamline that process. There was one more on there that I've completely forgotten, because I remembered the first three and then the other ones disappeared. I forgot what it was. Damn it, never mind. Someone else take over.
Okay, no problem.
I was gonna say, as far as the I'll say entertainment industry, that being music, games, even movies, other things like that, I don't necessarily believe that those markets will be touched as heavily as people think. Just because of what the video had said about the emotive or the emotional connection. is not there when it comes to AI. At least not yet. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. What worries me is more the advertisement industry.
Yeah.
Commercial VOs are almost negligible in that regard because, like, so when he started speaking about that, the first thing I immediately thought of was how TikTok you can do like text to speech, and in some somewhat rare cases, the voice sounds almost like a real person. And if you can, like, if you're looking for a commercial that is just simply a happy conversational voice, there you go. That's all you need until the end of time, you know, like, and you do a one-time pay of however much money, and then you can look at, you know, making a profit of however much, like, you know, 10,000% or something insane.
Because I think that was it. There was one thing that I wanted to see if we was going to talk about, which is audiobooks, because I am worried that they are going to be able to take a synthesized version of someone's voice and just put an entire book in, and you're done. So that's my worry.
I have to disagree on that, just because even in audiobook narration, there's still a certain emotional connection that you have to make in order to truly convey the tone of the scenario, of the characters in said scenario, etc. So, I mean, it can certainly be used in such things that are like for e-learning, like we were just saying. You know, you got a huge textbook about freaking quantum physics or something, and you just want to listen to it instead. You could easily, flood that into a program and have it read it off to you instead. Like, and it would sound kind of like a actual human voice. Go ahead.
Here, check this out.
Oh.
This is an example of text to speech. How does it sound?
This is one of the voices that actually got me, with the exception of the "how does it," which sounded really weird to me. The very beginning always fooled me when it come to that particular voice, because I really thought it was somebody behind that voice. But this is an actor that has put in, you know, so many words, and has, again, they've bought out the rights and they've given it up, and now TikTok uses it fairly freely for anybody to use.
Yeah, because it reminded me when he was talking about the whole uses, it reminded me of when the writer for the Witcher books just paid a flat fee for the Witcher series because he didn't think it was going to take off, and then suddenly whoosh, and he doesn't see a penny of that now. I think they settled outside of court, but either way, that's a good example of how to visualize user rights for voice actors in the sense of the way they've done it. It was more me explaining so I can make sense of it myself.
Okay.
But yeah, no.
I want to acknowledge chat, because I know chat has got a couple of points. So Ravenman says there's a greater tolerance for AI voices. I don't know if I agree with this take as it relates to replacing voice actors broadly with AI voices. Examples like Siri or Alexa are regularly interacted with, yes, but generally in short bursts. I do not necessarily believe that a wide audience would be nearly as tolerant with AI voices in situations for more long than getting an answer for, "Hey Siri, what's the weather doing right now?" Siri, Alexa, and even whatever Google Voice calls themselves is very antiquated to what they've been doing recently. The text to voice on TikTok is insane. They've done Disney characters, they've done C3PO, they've done Rocket Raccoon, Stormtrooper, and even the Scream voice, which is that last one that you heard.
Yeah.
So I guess in a weird way, sorry, Eldurrino, do you want to go?
I was just going to say, it really kind of terrifies me in certain regards, just because of how accurately certain programs can replicate voices like that. And I'm sure that's probably the same fear that a lot of people have. But even in that short example that you just played, Zamoody, you can still tell that the emotional connection isn't necessarily there. You know, like it was very like, you know, start at the top. This is an example of text to speech. How does it sound?
Right.
You know, it sounded a little bit more robotic. It doesn't have that natural conversational flow. And Please
Sorry.
But that's where they are now.
into a fucking
Yeah.
thing. I mean, Cleverbot isn't perfect. Believe me, I have used it a ton in my teenage years because I loved saying stupid things to it. But in any case, the Terminator example, for those who did not see the VOD here, at the beginning, it showed that scene from the Terminator where one of the T-9000s or whatever crushed one of the human skulls that was on the ground, and that was supposed to represent AI voiceover crushing voice actors. It's a perfect example because that is exactly what that movie is about. It's about AI superseding human minds and basically then running the world. And I mean, I'm not gonna say for certain because I'm not like, I may be a water messiah, but I'm certainly not a water prophet. That is a very realistic possibility where AI becomes so advanced that it can replace just a regular human being. Like when you start losing your perception of what is real and what is not, like it's a scary thought to think about, you know. I don't know. I write a lot of sci-fi stuff.
No, that's fine.
Read and watch it. So
We need an Eldurrino rambles thing, I think.
Like, paranoid.
It's just a common theme when these kinds of stories. It's like the pursuit for using less human effort, labor, participation. It's like it's always a theme for some reason. It's like, why? Imagine a thing can do everything for you. Why?
Because we're expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, in some regard, yes, but I mean, you know, you look at like McDonald's. McDonald's is trying to create essentially like I think they started off with like a order your meal yourself thing, so they don't have to have cashiers. Like humans then become replaceable, and it would not surprise me at some point like you walk into a McDonald's and some robot in the kitchen knows exactly what you want and they have your order ready for you before you even grab the door handle. Like,
Wait, hey, when I'm running late for work, I'm down for that. Let me tell you. But
you know what's funny about that though was the touch screens that they had like next to the register and everything. Obviously, when COVID hit, that's no one can interact with that. So it's
no, but that's why they put it on your phone now.
Yeah. It's just constant evolution, and it's like, oh god.
Let me go back to chat real quick. I love Magmorta's point here. AI voices used to help those who can no longer speak, but can use a device to make them speak. This is good, like Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
Obviously, much more advanced at this point than what his robotic voice was at that point. But yeah, this will be like much more tolerable. Because, I mean, I'm sure after listening to, I mean, Stephen Hawking was a brilliant man, but listening to that voice probably got really, really bad.
Life on Earth is about a 6.
I mean, there's certainly pros and cons to AI voice usage. That being a good pro, yeah, because, you know, he couldn't talk. He needed something to speak for him. Yeah. And that was there, you know, it was great. But, yeah.
Yeah,
that's why we had this discussion, because there's pros and cons, and we get to argue about them.
Yes, absolutely, and that's the whole concept of why I wanted to bring it up.
I'm just thinking along the lines of like the way my brain works is I need to somehow put this into context of the way I think I can see this going in the wide. I'm going to do a Ren predicts here. I can see after being on Voices for a little bit, you do get a lot of those small informational videos, things like that, for about $200, things like that. I can see those completely disappearing. I can see people who those sorts of jobs will completely disappear in regards to, so that will make it more difficult for people like us and other people starting out to get smaller jobs to start building a portfolio on the paid side. So I can see that being a niggling, but obviously there'll be things like audiobooks and other things like that that won't disappear. So it might become a thing where it's like how people thought books would go out of style because the Kindle arrived, and that hasn't happened, has it? Because we still have people who want to buy a book and like the package it comes with, like what they were talking about, the human interaction with clients, the smell of the book. There is connotations there, I think. And I think there will be some value behind having an AI voice for smaller things that just need to be done and needed doing quickly. And again, yes, like Troy Baker's kind of put in the sense of to make it more higher brand voice actors more accessible, but I don't think it will. I think, ironically enough, it'll impact people higher up way more than it will be for the middling people. And then it will make the journey into the middling just that little bit harder, but I don't think it will narrow the gap. I think it will force people to find different things, create new avenues, different types of projects might turn up, because that's what humans do. When we are given a problem, we get creative and we fix things. We find new things, and we're cheapy little buggers like that. We are. So I think, despite the fact that there will be some road bumps along the way for voice actors trying to make their way on this, I don't think it will completely make it impossible to earn a living from it. I think it will narrow down. It might trim off some of the older stuff that has been in the voice acting community for a while, so like commercial stuff and things like that. But I think we will find other things will adapt and evolve, and for all we know, a few years down the line, there might be some entirely new, different branding of commercial that maybe wants more VTuber type things, or it might want somebody with that certain voice actually acting something out that they can put into a studio or something. Human minds are so cool and so creative, so I'm not too worried on having maybe certain parts of the industry change, because that's kind of what as actors, that's what happens. Life flows and ebbs and changes, and as part of us, we kind of go through that and we deal with it as is. And yeah, I agree with the whole relationship with that client is something that voice actors can give, and it's enjoyable. So I think there'll be more value placed on voice actors as a result of having AI weed out all of the smaller jobs, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I like Misty's point about how selling an AI copy of yourself essentially creates a monopoly for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's probably my biggest drawback to it. Like I agree with most of the points that you said there, Renara, but the simple fact is, what happens when humankind starts to become lazy? As predicted in the wonderful Disney movie WALL-E.
Yeah.
What happens when people are just like, I don't want to sit through, I don't want to pay someone for 40 hours of audio editing and 20 hours of acting and whatnot. Here's Troy Baker's voice for $3,000, and we can use it for whatever the hell we want, and we can continue to profit off of these products exponentially. Like, what happens then for the lower people? Troy Baker costs $10,000 per hour, example.
I think there's going to be a lot of power in the mob when it comes to this sort of thing. I think the
problem is it's not up to the mob, it's up to the developer.
Yeah,
so you have such a much more narrow group of people that are saying, like to Eldurrino's point, why pay Troy Baker $10,000 when I can buy this piece of software for $3,000? It sounds mostly like Troy Baker. It's Troy Baker-ish, and it'll work well.
I believe in the people, goddammit.
And that's
there is always good in hoping. There is always good in hoping.
Optimism out of here.
How dare you?
Someone's got to be optimistic here, guys.
Yeah. I will note that I know YouTube does not allow the monetization of AI when it comes to
which
that.
Makes me happy.
Which cheers to YouTube for moving forward on that. Absolutely, because that'll help us out, those creators and everything that are trying to, or those voice actors are trying to get through. And if a creator needs them, then by all means that works up.
Well, that's another thing in itself too. Like not only is this going to create divisiveness within the community, those who support it versus those who don't, the companies that and then accept it, that's going to create another wall.
Yeah.
I can go to this platform and use all this stuff if I want to, or I can go to this platform and not.
Ravenmain says, that's probably the thing I'm most concerned about with the Troy Baker thing. I cannot imagine a world in which he and others who may follow suit don't still profit from outsourcing their voice at the cost of other particularly newer startup voice actors. I mean, this is just a real situation that we all need to be aware of. And I personally have definitely seen the TTS stuff come up on voices.com. It's popped up on my thing. I've talked about it before. Now I know more of the damage that it can cause, and I will be very, very selective, if at all, to those particular jobs anymore. It's nice. Don't get me wrong, but I think all in all, it'll hinder our ability to move forward. So personally, I know where I stand there now.
Yeah.
Right. And I will certainly say to any listeners, this is not any reason to get paranoid or give up on any of your goals to become a voice actor, start voice acting, etc. Like, this is all just speculation. It is very new. Nobody knows at this point where it goes. And who knows, there might even be some form of technology that will come out that will combat this, where you can put a watermark on any type of digital media that you have so that you can always say, hey, this is mine and it cannot be touched, and it will save you your job, essentially. So,
Absolutely.
But again, speculation. Don't worry about it too much.
It is so new that the company that you supported, called Voice First NFT, like, they didn't even have like an example yet to show someone that was supporting them that they just stole a thing from another creator and they were called out for it. And they even said, like, our marketing team like didn't have someone like a thing ready, so we just got this clip from someone else. And it's like,
yeah. Well, and then the worst part is then they just said like, oh, whoops, our bad. And then that's it. They still didn't give credit to the original person.
They didn't. But the company that they like did that for, they were like, oh no, we're not working with you anymore. It's like, okay, cool, at least.
I think the thing to take away from this is that it's here, it's a thing, it's been evolving for a little bit, and now it's appeared. But it doesn't mean you stop doing what you enjoy, and you can use it as a way to develop yourself, and realizing it's there it's kind of like, right, okay, this is a thing, but I am still me. I can still provide something unique, and I can still provide that human connection. This does not completely get rid of my talent and my voice acting as it is. No. It just means bolder in the way we're going to figure out how to work with it, I think, in a weird way. So don't go, oh my God, why the hell should I try? No, it's just the world is changing, and we've got to kind of not change with it, but adapt with it and see how things go and be malleable, which I think is a trait that we all share at some point, in the sense of being malleable to things like this. So don't give up. It's just new, weird shit that we got to keep an eye on before it stomps on us like the Terminator. No, I'm joking. But yeah, no.
1000s.
Keep an eye on the evolution.
Yeah, exactly. And if it does show some form of sentience, like what is my purpose, past the salt, then we start to, do something.
Matt says, I can see it also going in a wrong way that would require reevaluation to return. And it's talking about Murphy's Law. I mean, it's like I said, this was more to educate everybody on where that technology is going, on the NFT thing. For those of you that are curious about my Uncanny Valley comment, it's somebody, I think it was Matt who specifically said, we developed that for a reason. And that's a scary, scary thought. So I'll leave you all with that in the part of the show. For
end the show on fear.
Yes. For those of you that want to talk to us, we have a Discord now available. The link is going to be is available here in chat, !Discord. For those of you on YouTube or on the podcast, it's always in the description. You can talk to us directly there. You can upload some audio files for us to look at. Again, let us know topics, anything. If you have an idea, ColdReadthePodcast at gmail.com. I believe our next intro is now going to be Mr. Eldurrino. Hard to top your last one, but I'm sure that's not. Yeah, for you, it's
I have to figure out which way it is, because he's either that way or that way, and I can't tell him.
We'll see. I am pretty good about drumming up ideas at the last moment, and they usually end up turning out really well. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, Grim as Alfred is always awesome. Yeah. But yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you, Renara, Eldurrino, Misty, everybody for being here. Thank you for those that are watching. Ravenmane, Magmorta, Miskatonic, Memorial. I hope I'm saying that. Memorialist? I hate your name, Matt. Yeah, go ahead. But yeah, we will catch you all next time, and I will leave you with Renara's hopeful parting words. Sorry.
I write it down this time?
No, I didn't. Of course I didn't, Misty, right. No, I think it's quite important to say, especially with this, is that create the stuff you want to create. Don't stop and keep going. And I think, as a little side point to all VAs, have a side project, make your own stuff, go for it. See what you can do and expand your own tool set. Write some stuff, make some videos, just have fun with it. We've all done it. So with all these AI things, try and expand your skill set, create, do all the fun things, and we'll see you next time.
With that said, thank you, everybody. We'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Drink water.
There it is.
Bye.